You know that moment when you realize someone you trusted has been stabbing you in the back for months? When everything suddenly clicks into place and you feel like the biggest fool in the world. Yeah, I had that moment. And it changed everything. My name is Vanessa Wright. I am 42 years old. And this is the story of how I took down the man who tried to ruin my life. I need to start from the beginning so you understand just how deep this betrayal went. 10 years ago, I started working at Paramount Financial Solutions. It is one of those big investment firms in Manhattan where everyone wears expensive suits and talks about millions like it is pocket change. I started as a financial advisor, working my way up from nothing. And I mean nothing. I grew up in Brooklyn, raised by a single mom who cleaned offices at night so I could go to college. I was the first person in my family to get a degree. I worked 3 jobs to pay for business school. Nothing was handed to me. For 10 years, I busted my tail at Paramount. 60-hour weeks. Weekends in the office. I missed birthdays, holidays, family reunions. My sister stopped inviting me to things because she knew I would not show up. My mom would call me crying, begging me to slow down, telling me that money is not everything. But I had something to prove. I wanted to show everyone that I belonged in that world. And I was good at my job. Really good. I had this natural ability to connect with clients, to understand what they needed, to build trust. My client portfolio grew every single year. I brought in more money for the firm than analysts who had been there twice as long as me. My boss, Robert Chen, even told me I was on track to make senior vice president. That promotion meant everything. Better salary, better office, respect, and most importantly, it meant I had finally made it. Then Marcus Bennett walked into my life. Marcus transferred to our New York office from Chicago about 3 years ago. He was 45, tall, good-looking, always dressed like he stepped out of a magazine. He had this confidence about him, like he owned every room he walked into. He was charming, funny, and everyone loved him instantly, including me, at first. Marcus got assigned to the desk right across from mine. We started having lunch together, grabbing drinks after work with the team, talking about our careers and goals. He seemed genuinely interested in my success. He would ask me about my strategies, how I landed certain clients, what my secrets were. I thought he was just being friendly, maybe even mentoring me in a way. Looking back now, I want to slap myself for being so naive. About 6 months after Marcus arrived, I landed the biggest deal of my career, the Henderson family. Old money, very private, very wealthy. Their investment portfolio was worth $80 million. $80 million. I had been working on getting their business for almost 2 years. William Henderson was 78 years old and did not trust easily. But I earned his trust. I was honest with him, transparent, and I delivered results on a smaller test account he gave me first. The day William signed the contract to move his entire family fortune to my management, I cried in my car. Happy tears. This was the account that would guarantee my promotion to senior vice president. Robert pulled me aside that afternoon and basically told me the job was mine. He said the executive board was impressed and that we would make the announcement after the quarterly review. I was on top of the world. I called my mom that night and told her everything. She was so proud. She kept saying, "Baby, you did it. You really did it." I went out with my girlfriends that weekend and we celebrated. I even started looking at nicer apartments, thinking about finally upgrading from my tiny studio. Marcus took me out to dinner that week to congratulate me. We went to this fancy steakhouse, and he ordered champagne. He gave this whole toast about how talented I was and how much he respected my work. He said he was lucky to work alongside me. I remember feeling so validated, so appreciated. What a fool I was. 2 months later, everything fell apart. It started small. I noticed Marcus was dressing differently. More expensive suits. New watch, talking about his weekend house in Connecticut. Then he started showing up to my client meetings. I thought Robert had asked him to sit in for training purposes or something. But Marcus never asked permission. He just showed up and inserted himself into conversations. Then I noticed he was having private calls with William Henderson, my client, the man I had spent 2 years building a relationship with. When I asked Marcus about it, he smiled and said, "Oh, William just wanted a second opinion on some things. Nothing major. You know how these old school guys are. They like having multiple points of contact. I should have seen the red flags. But I trusted him. That was my biggest mistake." The bomb dropped on a Tuesday morning in September. I will never forget that day. Robert called an all-staff meeting at 9 a.m. Everyone gathered in the conference room, and Robert stood at the front with this weird expression on his face. Pride mixed with something else I could not quite read. "I have some exciting news to share," Robert said. "After careful consideration, the executive board has decided to promote Marcus Bennett to senior vice president, effective immediately." I felt like I had been punched in the stomach. The room started spinning. I looked at Marcus, and he was smiling, shaking hands with everyone, accepting congratulations. He looked at me across the room and had the nerve to wink. Actually winked at me. After the meeting, I stormed into Robert's office. I did not even knock. "Robert, what the hell was that? You promised me that promotion." "You said it was mine," I said, my voice shaking. Robert would not look me in the eye. He shuffled papers on his desk, clearly uncomfortable. "You are an excellent advisor, but the board felt that Marcus's leadership experience and his success in bringing in the Henderson account made him the better choice for this role." "Excuse me? Bringing in the Henderson account?" "That was my account. I spent 2 years building that relationship," I said, practically shouting now. "According to the documentation, Marcus was integral to closing that deal. He has been the primary contact for the Henderson family for the past month and a half. William Henderson specifically requested that Marcus be his main point of contact going forward," Robert said. I felt like I was in the Twilight Zone. "That is not true. That is my client. I brought them in. Marcus just started showing up to meetings. Vanessa, I understand you are upset, but the decision has been made. Marcus will now be your direct supervisor. I suggest you focus on being a team player and supporting him in his new role," Robert said. And then he actually dismissed me. Waved his hand like I was a child throwing a tantrum. I walked out of that office in complete shock. I sat at my desk, staring at my computer's screen, unable to process what had just happened. My co-worker Lisa came over and hugged me. "That is such bullshit. Everyone knows that was your account. But knowing something is wrong and being able to prove it are two very different things." Marcus came over to my desk later that afternoon. He had this fake sympathetic look on his face that made me want to scream. "Hey Vanessa, I know you are disappointed about the promotion. For what it is worth, I think you are incredibly talented. I am really looking forward to working together. I could use someone with your skills on my team," he said. I looked up at him, and in that moment I saw it. He was not sorry. He was not sympathetic. He was gloating. He had played me from day one, and he was proud of himself. "Congratulations, Marcus," I said flatly. "Thanks. I am going to need you to walk me through all your client files. I want to get up to speed on everyone you have been managing. Let's set up a meeting for tomorrow," he said. That is when it really hit me. He was not just taking the promotion. He was taking my clients. All of them. Over the next month, my life became a nightmare. Marcus micromanaged everything I did. He questioned every decision. He sat in on all my client calls. Systematically, he started moving my biggest clients under his direct management. He would tell them that as senior vice president, he could provide better service, more attention, more resources. One by one, I watched my portfolio get stripped away. I complained to Robert. I complained to HR. But Marcus had covered his tracks perfectly. He had documentation showing that he had been involved in client meetings. He had emails where I had asked for his help on various accounts. Of course, those were emails where he had inserted himself and I was just being polite. It looked like we had been working together all along. The worst part was watching my colleagues turn on me. Suddenly, people weren't reading me like I was bitter and jealous, like I was the problem. Marcus played the nice guy perfectly. He would compliment me in meetings, then undermine me privately. He would offer to help me with tasks, making it seem like I was struggling, when really he was just creating more work for me. I started having panic attacks. I could not sleep. I lost 15 pounds because I barely ate. My mom begged me to quit to find another job. But I refused. This was my career, my life. I was not going to let Marcus Bennett destroy everything I had built. That is when I decided to fight back. I started paying attention. Really paying attention. I documented everything, every meeting, every email, every conversation. I kept a detailed notebook with dates and times. I was looking for something, anything, that would prove Marcus was not the golden boy everyone thought he was. And then I found it. It happened by accident. I was working late one night, around 9 p.m. The office was basically empty. I went to the break room to get coffee, and I walked past Marcus's office. His door was slightly open, and I heard him on the phone. I should have kept walking, but something about his tone made me stop. Yeah, I moved another $200,000 into that offshore account today. The client has no idea. They think the fees are just standard management costs, Marcus was saying. My blood ran cold. I stood there frozen, listening. No, there is no way they will catch it. I have been doing this for 3 years. The amounts are small enough that they do not trigger any flags. And even if they did, I have documentation showing that the client approved all the fees. I am covered, he continued. I slowly backed away from his door, my heart pounding so hard I thought it would explode. I went back to my desk and just sat there, trying to process what I had just heard. Marcus was stealing from clients. He was moving money into offshore accounts and covering it up as management fees. I did not sleep that night. I went home and paced around my apartment, trying to figure out what to do. I could go to the police, but I did not have proof. Just something I overheard. I could go to the company, but what if they were in on it? What if they covered it up to avoid scandal? I needed evidence, real evidence. The next day, I went to work with a plan. I knew Marcus's computer password. I know. That sounds crazy. But here is the thing. About a year ago, before everything went bad, Marcus and I had to collaborate on a big presentation. He gave me his password so I could access some files on his computer when he was out of the office. It was a temporary password that he was supposed to change, but I was willing to bet he had not. I waited until lunchtime when Marcus left for his usual 2-hour lunch with clients. My hands were shaking as I walked over to his office. I closed the door behind me and sat at his computer. I typed in the old password. It worked. I could not believe it. He had never changed it. I immediately plugged in a USB drive and started copying files. Everything. Spreadsheets, documents, I did not even have time to look at what I was taking. I just grabbed everything I could. 20 minutes later, I had copied over 10,000 files. I pulled out the USB drive, cleared the computer history, and went back to my desk. My whole body was shaking. I felt like I was going to throw up. That night, I went through the files. And what I found was worse than I could have imagined. Marcus had not been stealing from clients for 3 years. He had been stealing for 8 years, starting back when he was still in Chicago. He had a whole system set up. He would create fake management fees, fake trading costs, fake consulting charges, small amounts, usually between $500 and $2,000 per month per client. Not enough that anyone would notice individually. But he had over 40 clients. That added up to approximately $60,000 to $80,000 per month. Every month. For 8 years. I did the math. Marcus had stolen over $5 million. $5 million. But it got worse. I found emails between Marcus and someone at the compliance department. They were working together. The compliance officer was helping Marcus hide the transactions in exchange for a cut of the money. They had been splitting the profits. I also found the documentation for the Henderson account. Marcus had been forging William's signature on fee agreements. He was charging the Henderson family almost $10,000 per month in fake fees. William had no idea. The account was so large that $10,000 did not even register as suspicious. I sat at my kitchen table, surrounded by printed documents, and I cried. Not sad tears. Angry tears. This man had destroyed my career, stolen my promotion, taken my clients, and he was a criminal. An actual criminal who had been getting away with it for years. I knew I had a choice. I could take this to the police and hope they would investigate. But that could take months or even years. Marcus might get tipped off and destroy evidence. He might flee. He had millions of dollars hidden away. He could disappear. Or I could do something more direct. I decided to go to William Henderson first. He deserved to know that the man managing his family fortune was a thief. And William had connections. Real connections. He sat on the board of several major companies and was friends with people at the Securities and Exchange Commission. I called William and asked if I could meet with him privately, not at the office. He agreed, curious about why I was being so secretive. We met at his private club in Manhattan, a place where old money gathered and made deals. I brought everything. Printed emails, spreadsheets, account statements, everything. I laid it all out on the table in front of him. William, I need to show you something, and it is going to be very difficult to hear. But you need to know the truth about Marcus Bennett, I said. I walked him through everything. The fake fees, the offshore accounts, the 8-year pattern of theft, the forged signatures on his family account. William's face went from confused to shocked to absolutely furious. His hands were shaking as he looked through the documents. This man has been stealing from my family. For how long? He asked, his voice barely controlled. Based on these documents, he has been charging your family fake fees for about 7 months. Approximately $70,000 total from your account, I said. William stood up, his face red. That son of a bitch. I trusted him. My wife trusted him with her inheritance money. It gets worse, William. He has done this to dozens of clients. He has stolen over $5 million that I can prove. There might be more, I said. William was quiet for a long moment. Then he pulled out his phone. I am calling Frank Morrison at the SEC right now. We went to Yale together. He will have agents at your office by tomorrow morning. William, there is one more thing you should know. Someone in the compliance department at Paramount is helping him. We need to make sure they investigate the whole company, Not just Marcus, I said. William nodded. Frank will handle it. But Vanessa, I need to ask you something. Why did you bring this to me first instead of going straight to the authorities? I looked him in the eye. Because I know how these things work. If I went to the SEC alone, it would take months to investigate. The company might cover it up to protect their reputation. Marcus might get tipped off and destroy evidence. But if you demand an investigation with your connections and your family name behind it, they will act immediately. And they will not let Paramount sweep this under the rug. William smiled a cold smile. You are absolutely right. Frank owes me several favors. This ends tomorrow. And it did. The next morning, I came into work at my normal time. Around 10 a.m., 6 SEC agents walked into the Paramount offices with a warrant. They went straight to Marcus's office and escorted him out in handcuffs. The look on his face when he saw me watching from my desk was priceless. Pure shock and confusion, followed by this moment where he realized that I had done this, that I had destroyed him. They also arrested Jennifer Cole, the compliance officer who had been helping him. She tried to run when she saw the agents, actually tried to run, but they caught her in the stairwell. The whole office was in chaos. Robert was frantically calling the executive board. Other advisors were panicking, wondering if they were going to be investigated too. It was beautiful chaos. The SEC investigation took 6 months, but they found everything. Every fake fee, every forged document, every offshore account. Marcus had stolen $5.3 million from 47 different clients over 8 years. Jennifer Cole had helped him cover it up for a cut of approximately 30% of the profits. Marcus was charged with wire fraud, money laundering, and securities fraud. He was convicted on all counts and sentenced to 12 years in federal prison. 12 years. Jennifer got 8 years for her role in the scheme. But the fallout did not stop there. Paramount Financial Solutions was fined $20 million by the SEC for failing to properly supervise their employees. Robert Chen, my old boss, was fired for gross negligence. 6 other executives were forced to resign. The company's reputation was destroyed. They lost half their clients within 3 months. William Henderson sued Paramount for the full amount stolen from his account plus damages. He settled for $2 million. But that was not enough for him. He wanted justice for me too. William called the new CEO of Paramount, a woman named Barbara Stone who had been brought in to clean up the mess, and he made her an offer she could not refuse. Either they promoted me to senior vice president, gave me back all my clients, and gave me a formal apology, or he would pull all his remaining investments and tell every wealthy person he knew to do the same. Barbara agreed immediately. I was promoted to senior vice president the next week. All my clients were returned to my management, and I got a public apology from the company at an all-staff meeting. But here is the best part. 6 months after Marcus went to prison, William Henderson made me another offer. Vanessa, you saved my family from being robbed. You showed integrity and courage when you could have just walked away and found another job. I want to invest in you, he said. He offered to back me if I wanted to start my own wealth management firm. He would be my first client and would introduce me to his network of wealthy friends and business associates. It was an opportunity of a lifetime. I took it. I left Paramount Financial and started Right Wealth Management. William Henderson transferred his entire $80 million portfolio to my new firm. Within the first year, through his referrals, I had over $300 million in assets under management. Starting my own company was terrifying and exhilarating. For the first time in my career, I was not trying to fit into someone else's system. I was building something of my own, something that reflected my values. I hired people based on talent and character, not connections. I created a culture of transparency and ethics. And I made damn sure that every client knew exactly where their money was going. Today, 3 years later, Right Wealth Management manages over $700 million in assets. I have 20 employees, including some of my old colleagues from Paramount who wanted to work for a company that actually valued integrity. We have a beautiful office in Midtown Manhattan. My face has been in Forbes and Black Enterprise magazine. I have been invited to speak at conferences and universities. But you want to know the real victory? Last month, I bought my mom a house. A real house in a nice neighborhood in Brooklyn with a backyard and everything. She cried when I gave her the keys. She kept saying, "Baby, you did not have to do this." But I did. She sacrificed everything for me. It was my turn to take care of her. As for Marcus Bennett, he is currently serving his 12-year sentence at a federal prison in Pennsylvania. I heard through some industry contacts that he tried to appeal his conviction twice. Both appeals were denied. He will not be eligible for parole for at least 8 years. His wife divorced him. His kids do not speak to him. He lost everything: his reputation, his career, his freedom, his family. All because he was greedy and thought he was smarter than everyone else. Do I feel bad about what happened to him? Not even a little bit. He made his choices. He spent 8 years stealing from people who trusted him. He destroyed my career and tried to break me. He deserves everything he got. People ask me sometimes if I have any regrets. The only thing I regret is not seeing through Marcus sooner. I regret trusting him and thinking he was my friend. But I do not regret taking him down. Not for 1 second. The truth is, Marcus underestimated me. He thought I was just another ambitious advisor he could manipulate and push aside. He thought I would accept being passed over for promotion and just move on quietly. He thought I was too weak or too scared to fight back. He was wrong. I learned some important lessons from this whole experience. First, trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, it probably is. Second, document everything. You never know when you will need proof of something. Third, do not be afraid to fight for yourself because nobody else is going to do it for you. But the most important lesson is this: success really is the best revenge. Marcus tried to destroy my career, but instead, he gave me the push I needed to build something even better. If he had not stolen my promotion, I might still be at Paramount, working for someone else, climbing someone else's ladder. Instead, I built my own ladder. And I am still climbing. I still see William Henderson regularly. He is 81 now, and he still manages his family trust with the same careful attention he always has. He tells people I saved his family from being robbed blind. He introduces me as the most ethical advisor he has ever met. That means more to me than any award or recognition ever could. Last year, I started a mentorship program for young women of color who want to get into finance. I work with 10 mentees every year, teaching them about investing, helping them navigate the industry, and showing them that they belong in this world. I tell them my story, all of it, including the parts that hurt. I want them to know that this industry is not always fair, that people will try to hold you back, but that you can still win if you are smart and you never give up. One of my mentees, a 24-year-old named Alicia, called me last month. She had just gotten her first big client, and she was so excited she was crying on the phone. "Miss Vanessa, I did it. I really did it. And I did it the right way, just like you taught me," she said. That is what this is all about. Not revenge. Not money. Not even success, really. It is about proving that you can win without cheating, without cutting corners, without stepping on other people. It is about building something you can be proud of. Marcus Bennett is in prison where he belongs. I am running a successful company that I built from nothing. My mom has a beautiful house. I have financial security. I have respect in my industry. I have peace of mind knowing that every dollar I earn is clean money. Who really won in this story? I think we both know the answer to that. Sometimes I think about that moment when the SEC agents walked Marcus out of the office in handcuffs. The look on his face when he realized I had destroyed him. That memory still makes me smile. But because it was justice, real justice, Marcus spent 8 years stealing from people who trusted him. He ruined careers and lives. He deserved everything that happened to him. And I am glad I was the one who made sure he faced consequences. They say revenge is a dish best served cold. But I do not think what I did was revenge. It was justice. There is a difference. Revenge is about hurting someone because they hurt you. Justice is about making sure bad people face consequences for their actions. Marcus did not just hurt me. He hurt 47 clients. He stole over $5 million. He corrupted Jennifer Coland, turned her into a criminal. He damaged Paramount's reputation and cost innocent people their jobs. Someone had to stop him. It just happened to be me, and I am not sorry about that. Not even a little bit. In the end, Marcus Bennett tried to destroy me, but he only made me stronger. He tried to steal my future, but he gave me something better. He tried to break me, but I broke him instead. That is not revenge. That is karma. And sometimes, karma needs a little help from someone who refused to be a victim. My name is Vanessa Wright. I am 42 years old. I run a $700 million wealth management firm. And I am the woman who destroyed the man who tried to destroy me, and I would do it again in a heartbeat.